I am Tom, and this is AC On, the short Alpha Clash podcast, where I talk all things Alpha Clash on my way to work. Now, we are for sure going to talk about Cosmic Conquest, but before that, I just want to quickly mention that in a couple of weeks, this podcast actually turns 1. It's been a whole year in a short while. Since I started doing a weekly podcast. I haven't missed an episode. I had a bad fallout once, but other than that, it's been out every Monday, or every week at least. Now, to celebrate that, I want to do a small giveaway, having no idea how to do that in practical terms, but we're going to do that. So, if you like to participate, hang on. If you want to have a bigger chance, then charm your mates into listening to the podcast and join the competition. They might like Alpha Clash though, and maybe they'll just give you the prize if they win. Anywho, just want to put that out there. So, follow along. And now for Cosmic Conquest. The reason we're talking about that is, of course, the Cosmic Conquest Kickstarter is going live this week. The 25th of February if you're in the US, 26th if you're in Europe, early mornings, in the middle of the night to be perfectly honest. But it's going live, and we know a lot of what's coming now, so I want to talk about that. Now, the team with Rich and Josh did a Through the Portal, which I guess most of you have seen or heard, where they revealed all of the tiers and a lot of the add-ons, or maybe even all of the add-ons, and not least the stretch goals. Now, I'm not going to go into detail as what is in each and every one of them. I want to touch on what I think is the good part, and then in case you haven't seen or heard the Through the Portal, I'll leave a link to that in the description. You go look at that. I'll leave a link to the Kickstarter as well, just in case you've missed that. But the Cosmic Conquest is sort of the board game, of course, for the world of Alpha Clash. And if you think that would be a copy-paste of what they tried and abandoned on GameFound, you're at miss. There is a lot of new things. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First up is the tiers themselves, of course. And there are the usual tiers where you sort of slowly incline. The entry level here is $59 US, about 57 euros or 47 quid, something like that. Around 50 quid for the entry level. For that, you just get the board game. That tier is tier 1, called on the Unrivaled tier. And when we slowly move up, tier 2 and tier 3, and in tier 3 I think you get the miniatures maybe, and a dice tray and some other stuff. You get the complete game again with some added bonuses, and then you'll slowly walk from the 50 onto 150 US, or about 120 quid or 140 something euros. I'm not very good at converting. I just scribbled down sort of quick numbers, but it's around those parts, going from about 57 euros, I think I got it to about 140, 150 euros. That's the price range they're working in. But of course, there has to be this huge, bungers, you want it all sort of pack, and there is one too for those of you who wants everything thrown in there. And there's a tier that's called the Champions of the Gambit, something like that, and it's like 500 US dollars. a huge price, sure, but you get a lot of stuff. So if you have that kind of money, or just if you want that, go for it. There will be a limited supply of those, as far as I remember, because there are also unique cards at it. So you have to be aware of that. Also, if you have a game store, or you want to sort of motivate your own game store to buy up Cosmic Conquest for selling them, there is a retail store tier where for €190, which is about 160 quid, you get 6 copies of the game, and that's a fairly good price, I think, in taking into consideration how much stuff there is in the box. I think that's a fairly good price. So go have a look at that. You can't, as a non-store, a not game store, you can't order the game store tier. They will check. They told us so, but go have a look at the tiers once they're out. On top of that, of course, there is the add-ons. Add-ons are the bane of people like me that just want something basic and then start putting on add-ons and end up, might as well have bought the Champions of the Gambit pack, because I've added all the stuff in anyhow. So there are loads and loads and loads. They're very keen on. For me, they fall into a few categories, but they're not. There's a board game category, meaning you can get the miniatures of the ones you like, or the expansion box, I suppose, for the Harbinger tier. That's the first and only expansion. You get that in this Kickstarter. It will never be printed again. If they make another expansion, they might. That will not be it. The original Harbingers will not be it. So this is the only way to get it. And they haven't said, but I guess that will be an add-on, or at least it will be in one of the tiers. But what will be in the add-ons are, of course, miniatures. You can buy sets of those instead of these acrylic standees. You can buy sleeves, play mats, binders, stuff like that. And a dice tray, which is also in some of the tiers. What's really interesting, or what I think is really interesting, is that you can get two things. Two things are really interesting. One, the cheap end of that is that you can get a special 6-sided die with the Prudential logo on, and five special art portals. The portals are, as far as I understand it, zoomed in on the planets from the game where they have their portals, and there are 5. And the reason for that is, of course, that will match a 4-player Gambit mode, which I think is absolutely perfect. It will come in at about €30, I think, or 25 quid. Sorry, no, they would be in at €15. Sorry, and playmat is a bit bigger. Now I have to be able to split them. No, once again, the portals will be in at 30. It's the dice tray that's about 15. Sorry, so the portals will be about €30 or US dollars. With the die and the 5 portals. But the really interesting bit for a collector side of things, that's a fun bit. I might want to have a set of those just in case. The really interesting bit is they sort of launch a completely new product here called the Elite Vault. They call it the Elite Vault 1, sort of hinting that there will be more of these. And what that is a collection of 18 cards in a special holder. 18 cards that are already in the game, but in this case they are full art, no text, but with the name. so you could technically play them, I guess. Don't know why you want to do that, but you could technically play them. And they will be one-offs, meaning that this will come out it will be with this product and won't be printed again, and they will print till demand. So whoever orders here will get that in the story. The pack will be around €50 or €50. So it's not a cheap set, but it's there. I think I might have one of those. Let's see. So that was the tiers, and that's the add-ons. Of course, there is loads of them. You should go have a look yourself once the Kickstarter open. But what we really want to know is what is the stretch goals, right? So they're fairly generous with the stretch goals. So for the first 5,000 for the first steps of 5,000, meaning 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, and so forth and so on, up to about 50. Let me see my notes. To 50,000. There'll be small increments, sort of you getting a sticker or an iron-on badge, or there'll be extra armory deck cards once we get to the bigger numbers there. So that will slowly grow. And once you hit 50, we're going to 10,000. All of this, 10,000 US dollars. All of this are in US dollars for the stretch goals. So about 15,000 US. That will be a special art contender showing up with a cool new sword that they won't tell us what is just yet. But moving up from there, you will get $10,000 increments and you sort of get cooler game components, new tokens and stuff like that. Or better quality tokens, I should say. But at 80,000, this is the first big landmark for this. At 80,000, the elite vaults I mentioned earlier will be serialized. So however many they made, and you will know because it says 21 of 80 or however many that will be sold. It will say so on the card. If they hit the $80,000 mark, they will serialize them and they will randomize them. So you won't get Elite Box 1 all ones. You will get the Elite Box 1 with number 3 of Death and number 29 of Conquest, something like that. That's the 80,000 mark. And then they start incrementing again, 90, 100 and so forth. And then we get to the two big elephants in the room. Now, I've heard talk about them doing a mobile game, or mobile version of the TCG, although at least they wanted to. I've sort of overheard that conversation somewhere. I'm in two minds, but the thing about it is that it is quite cool, if that's the case. And at the $140,000 mark, they will actually make that. They have committed to when they hit the $140,000 mark, the stretch goal will be a TCG mobile platform. Or mobile platform for the TCG. That, of course, is a partner solution. They want to do that, but that was really interesting. They want to do that. They want to commit to that. And then, of course, we're moving up again in the tiers, and once they hit 180,000, they are committed to doing I think they want to go live action TV series pilot episode. Now, they want to film a live-action Alpha Clash universe live-action show. TV show. So I know from the very get-go, it's been about moving the IP, not the individual parts. I get that. Comic books, the novel, card game, now board game. But to imagine that this is within reach is to me incredible. I really hope that they will get there and we'll get to see the pilot at least. Never mind if it's going to be actually going for it. Just having the pilot out there is a first step to a much bigger thing. So that there is a $200,000 stretch goal as well, but being after the mobile game, the mobile phone game, and after the live action pilot, I think having an extra promo card or a sticker or whatever it is sort of falls flat, doesn't it? Now, the big question here, if we like the tiers and we like the add-ons and we like the stretch goal, what is really realistic about this? I mean, we can dream all we want if they're not going to make 100, 180 or even 100,000 US in the stretch goals. If you're not going to reach the stretch goals, that's neither here nor there. So I've been looking back on what they did for stretches, what they did for their previous Kickstarters. Now we're going to leave the TCG itself out of that. They were incredibly lucky. I think the timing was sort of off for them, meaning that they came in at the very last chance for TCG to get any traction on Kickstarter. I'm just thinking kickstarting a TCG now is not going to happen anymore. The big TCGs that should be funded by Kickstarter has already been funded by Kickstarter. But when we look at the novel, which wasn't an expensive Kickstarter. I mean, you could get the product fairly cheap, and the comic book, which does the same thing. Those were cheap products. The board game is not a cheap product, which I hope means that they will sort of rank up quickly the amount of money they'll make on it, or will be pledged to it. Then those two made 36 and 92,000 for those two. So having an idea of reaching the 50,000 goal, or maybe even the 100,000 goal, is not completely bonkers. And when we factor in that the TCG got almost 400, or a little over 400,000, things are looking very good for a $150,000 or $180,000 Kickstarter. I think that is absolutely wild. So I'm really hoping that will be a thing. So, and it doesn't seem unrealistic to me. Now, the important thing, or the only caveat I have for this is that, one, the only caveat, because there's two. One, this is a board game and not a TCG. It might be a harder market to please if we're not into that already. They sort of had in-game found, but I believe that if anyone can do it, they can do it. And it looks very much like a successful Kickstarter project. So I'm hoping that will pan out. I'm just to make it super clear. Yes, I'm backing it. Yes, I do think that whatever they set their goal at for funding, that will happen. I have no doubt in that. We will get the board game. Period. The question is how much of the stretch goals we're going to get. So that's one thing. This is a board game. The others were not, but it's also in universe. So I think we're on a good track here. The second caveat is that this is coming out at the same time, or very close to the same time as Equilibrium. So we will be paying the board game at the same time, I suspect, as we will be paying for our our pre-orders of Equilibrium. That can be a toll, and some might want to think about that. I saved up for Equilibrium, so and for the board game, because we know for ages when it's coming, but others might not be that fortunate. So I'm curious how that will impact, and hopefully it will not. So I'm confident we will get a board game. I'm hoping that we'll get to the 180,000, so they can do a pilot for it, and hopefully someone will pick it up, because it's an interesting universe, and I'm very much looking forward to not just the next set, but how that will expand into the cosmic block, which is sort of where the board game starts. That's a whole other episode. Maybe we'll do that one someday. Right now, I am going to stop waffling on and just leave you to it. Remember, share this if you like the World of Alpha Clash and like this podcast. Share it. We'll be doing a giveaway in a few weeks, celebrating the 1 year anniversary. So until next week, I'll talk to you then. Bye.